Planning Commission for Payson City. Welcome to Planning Commission for Payson. Glad to have everybody here. We have 6 to 7 commissioners here. Commissioner Adams is not here, but everyone else is. So we'll go ahead and get started. I've asked Rachel to give us an inspirational thought, Commissioner Becker, and so she'll do that right now.
Okay, awesome. My inspirational thought today is from the former U.S. Surgeon General Vivek H. Murthy in his book, Together, The Healing Power of Human Connection in a Sometimes Lonely World. He says, being connected to others gives us stakes in more than just our own interests. It expands those interests to include the whole community and thus increases our motivation to work together. I believe as a whole, we've seen a lack of this type of thinking with both the pandemic and then the rise of social media. Those of us here obviously have motivation outside of ourselves, but I want to encourage us to look at where those motivations come from and be both intentional and brave about nurturing those connections.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you. We'll go ahead and look at the consent agenda, item 3.1. Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes from our meeting of June 25th? Any corrections, comments, or edits? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda from minutes from June 25th.
I have a motion.
Second.
And a second by Commissioner Becker. All in favor with yes?
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? Nope. Okay. And public forum, oh, lovely public. Do you want to say something? No public. Thank you for being here, public. We wish you were, but we'll go ahead and pass that up. We'll turn the time over to Jill for item 5.1. This is a public hearing on the recommendation of a citywide active transportation plan. And Jill's going to do this fast because she wants to go to a softball game.
Is this on? Oh. Okay,
Now
there we
it
go.
is.
Oh, I can hear myself now.
And
Okay,
here-
after
And here comes
transportation
our
plan.
last commissioner.
Okay, perfect. Hey, we've got everyone here. This is great.
He made it. Welcome,
Yeah,
Commissioner
coming out of
Adams.
that heat.
He is no longer missing. He's here. So that's good.
Okay, commissioners, we are bringing the active transportation plan to you. Some of you may have seen versions of this, or we've given updates over the past several months. We actually worked with the consultant team to prepare the first ever active transportation plan for the city. So that's what I'm going to present tonight. So I do have a very high level overview of the document. I don't know if you had a chance to review it. If you didn't have a chance to review it before this meeting, there's going to be a lot of chances for you to work on implementation because it is not just going to be the adoption of the plan. I'm really passionate about active transportation and having additional facilities in our community to move people. And so we anticipate that we're going to try to find every opportunity we can in order to incorporate on-street facilities, paved paths for recreation, for transportation, everything in the community. So anyway, so I'll do high level. If you have any questions, I will apologize now. I do have some of the maps that will be put on the screen. You may not be able to see the detail well enough. So if you need to, on your screen, I don't know if you can zoom in or not, but anyway, there might be some things that you want to take notes and look at after because a lot of the maps are citywide. And so it's hard to see the detail, but again, there's a lot of great information in here. So moving on, okay, this is just quickly the 5 different things that I want to go over. A little bit of background, purpose of the plan, analysis, recommendations, and then some of our plans for implementation. But all of those are addressed in this plan. So as far as the background, we were actually successful. Payson City was successful with a TAG grant. It's a Technical Assistance for Governments grant that is administered by the Mountain Land Association of Governments. So we applied for a grant a couple of years ago, received funding. It was 2 parts. We actually had requested funding for 2 different projects, and then they actually just lumped them into one. and gave us the funding that we needed. So the first project was the Payson Downtown Gateway Plan. So that is the plan that was prepared for North Main Street. So from 100 North, SR 198, all the way to the freeway. So North Main Street, we actually did a pretty in-depth land use code and transportation study for that North Main corridor. That plan has been completed by the consultant. It was, some of you may recall being at the joint work session with the council a few months ago. There were some suggestions made at that meeting that you wanted to see changed before you were willing to recommend and the council was willing to adopt that plan. So we're still working on that. So that half of this funding, that plan will come back to you hopefully in the next couple of months. But we are prepared to move forward with the citywide active transportation plan. So the objective of the active transportation plan is to look at ways that we can move people in the city. It is not just about cars. It is about moving individuals or people, whether they're on foot, whether they're on bicycle, whether they happen to be in a wheelchair, you know, whatever the situation may be, is making sure that we are finding ways to support a safe, accessible, connected, walkable, bikeable community. So a lot of adjectives right there, but all of them are very important to this overall community plan. So there's a lot of benefits with active transportation. Some of the main ones are listed here with health, safety, economic development, and then quality of life. So, you know, we definitely are looking at ways that we can integrate this in order to achieve a lot of those goals. Purpose of the plan, we want to integrate it into the general plan. So is what's being requested of the Planning Commission is to amend the Payson City General Plan to incorporate this active transportation plan. So it'll actually be incorporated into that document. And so it'll be something that as somebody's coming in to develop, or if they're wanting a rezone or they're wanting to annex, and we have some of these facilities that are anticipated in that particular area, we will be able to require that as an amenity or an improvement within that development. So we will be providing, so it's providing a mobility plan for pedestrians, bicycles, and drivers. If I'm not going to go over the city's transportation master plan tonight, but that's sort of where we started, was we have this network of streets that we have in the general plan for some of the main feeders in the community. The transportation master plan doesn't get down to the level of local streets, but it identifies where we need to have collector streets and arterial streets and how Payson City's transportation system connects into the larger regional view in South Utah County. And so we took that as a basis point to say, okay, where are these major corridors and what are the destinations? Where are we trying to get? And we used that as the starting point for the mobility plan. There were some areas that we actually had to go off path because we felt that for the users of the AT plan, that they probably would be safer than being on a major, you know, on a highway or something like that. So there are some that you may have noticed that are actually on a side road, and that was actually to make it safer for the users. Going on to analysis. So there are several things. So this plan identifies background and then the analysis and then has recommendations and implementation. But with the analysis, there has been multiple studies that have been either completed and or adopted by the city over the years, and whether they're at a local level or at a regional level. And so we also started with those previous studies to say, okay, which recommendations of those studies should be incorporated into or should be continued on, or which ones needed to change. So we did incorporate those previous studies. Connections among the community destinations, and I've got a map that's going to show that a little bit, because also it's where are people going? Where do people need to be in the community? Some people are just going to utilize these facilities to recreate, you know, and they might just do a loop in the community. But if they were using it for transportation, because that's the key word, transportation, where are they?
Money, by the way.
So where are they going? And absolutely, absolutely. So if we're writing a grant or we're looking for money, we're always talking mobility and transportation. Recreation is great. There are grants out there that are focused on recreation, and we make sure we focus on the recreation aspects of it. But there are several that it is about transportation and hopefully getting some cars off the street Giving people the ability to get to point A to point B safely on a bike or on foot if they choose to. We're not going carless in the community, but if somebody wants to ride their bike to work across town, we want to give them the safe path in order for them to do that. So connections, we'll talk about the destinations in just a second, but we also looked at a safety evaluation in the community is, looking at those corridors. What are people utilizing now? What is safe? What is unsafe? Is there crash data that would help, guide us to a better situation or a better corridor? We looked at types of facilities. We're looking at on-street, with on-street bicycle facilities. Or are they paved paths? Is it a trail? Is it a sidewalk? What type of facilities there? Also looked at intersections. Many of you have probably driven past areas of our community where you know that there have been several crashes. Maybe they've been minor, maybe they've been significant, maybe somebody was injured. But looking at intersections and, how we can incorporate those, people into those intersections safely. And then crossings, where are we crossing? Where do we have to cross surface wide? Is there areas in the community that we can have subsurface crossings, which we do have some in the community, but making sure that we're designing those crossings appropriately. Priorities, you may have noticed in this plan, it's sectioned out on those different topics as well of, what are our priorities from an on-street perspective, paved intersections, all of those, they're listed out as different priorities, priority 1, 2, and 3, which I'll go into a little bit further. And then we also wanted to know best practices. So we challenged, the consultants also is, what are other cities doing? What has worked well? A lot of these things have been incorporated. Some have worked well, and the dynamics are always changing, and new ideas or engineering practices are anticipated. And we wanted to know, if we were to incorporate some of these recommendations, how do we do that safely? I mean, how would we look at an intersection a little differently if we were to approve a development on this particular corner? And then there's always that ongoing maintenance. We want these facilities in our community, but we have to maintain them. How are we taking care of snow and ice and sweeping and those things? And so there are some recommendations in there as well for the departments that would maintain these facilities. So going back to the destinations, these were some of the destinations that we had started with to say, okay, where are people going? Where do they need to be? In the case of parents or students, it may just be a safe walking route to get to their elementary school. And so how are we getting them to school? How are we getting them to parks? Especially those regional parks like Memorial Park, where there's a lot of events and things that are happening there. So how are we getting to those destinations? In Payson, how are we getting to transit stops? There's been a lot of conversation recently about the front runner site. So how are we going to get people to that site by multiple modes, not just by the car? And then commercial areas and then employment centers. A lot of our industrial areas where we have higher employment numbers, it's west of Interstate 15. There's limited crossings, in order to get to the west side of town, but we still want to be able to get the population from the east side to the west side. And so that was another thing that we looked at is, looking at those corridors of whether it's 800 South or Utah Avenue or 400 North, how can we get to the other side of the freeway? And then also just filling gaps between neighborhoods and community hubs. I think even at your last meeting, we talked a little bit about curb gutter and sidewalk, just as we were talking about the code. And there are some recommendations in this plan also of, making sure that we're even getting just those connections for sidewalks. It doesn't always have to be a 10-foot wide trail. Sometimes it's just a 5-foot sidewalk in order to navigate through a certain neighborhood or get to another facility that then can get them to their long-term destination. So recommendations, there's several slides on this, and that is probably the bulk of the plan is recommendations of how we can, of everything that was analyzed and what the consultants team had recommended to us that would be a good starting point for Payson, or some things that we should be thinking about as, 1 to 5 years, 5 to 10, or, 10 and beyond. But so there's recommendations on all of these: safety, types of facilities, the priorities, projects, the design, and then of course we have some implementation. So safety improvements. So down here on the right hand, on the bottom right hand, I know it's really hard to see, but maybe a little bit better on your monitors, but that was the crash data. And so as the consultant team put together, they started off with, okay, what crashes have been reported and what are the severity of those? And as you can see, there's a lot of dots throughout the communities. There's some that are more concentrated in areas, and we probably all know those intersections. We've driven through them many, many times. But that's where we started with crash data. Then they looked at, with the crash data, is there any intersection improvements that could be done in those locations specifically? As part of the design part, there's some recommendations of how we should be designing intersections, but there's also some recommendations on these high volume intersections and where we've had these crashes, of maybe some recommendations of how those intersections can be improved. Part of the challenge that we have in Payson is we have state-owned facilities that run through our city. And so there's other agencies that have jurisdiction that we'd have to work with. But safety is always at the forefront of everyone's mind. And I think that with the adoption of this plan, I think some of those improvements or those intersections, we definitely want to work with UDOT or others to say, how can we how could we do some improvements in order to make them safer? But here on your left-hand side, as far as connecting all of the lines that are shown on the final recommendation of the AT plan, they have identified areas where you would be crossing a facility, whether it's a highway or whether it's a collector road within the city, but where they would be at grade crossings and where there's maybe opportunity for subgrade crossings. Of if we were reconstructing a road, is there a way that we can put a culvert underneath and give people the ability to cross under the road instead of having to have that vehicular pedestrian conflict? Types of facilities. Again, we looked at on-street and we looked at paved facilities outside of that right-of-way. But there was recommendations for sidewalks, new or gap filling some of these neighborhoods, shared use paths, so having paved trails for biking and walking, striped bike lanes, signed bike routes, and then enhanced crossings. So RRFB, so your rapid flashing beacons. UDOT just put one up on the highway at 3rd South, a couple of years ago. Someone comes up, they push the sensor. They know to warn the drivers that they need to stop because a pedestrian's going up by. So that's what your RRFBs are, if you're not familiar with the acronym. Anyway, but they have recommendations also for some enhanced crossings and maybe where even some pedestrian refuge islands could potentially be a solution to that safe crossing. But yeah, as you can see here, there's several different figures that are included in the plan that shows how you would incorporate a bike lane. Or how you'd have a buffered bike lane. And a part of that is just a lot of times is the amount of asphalt you have. There's areas in our community where they're buffered and there's areas that it's just a bike lane. You have to be pretty confident in riding your bike in order to be in those situations. But we want to make sure that we're providing as safe, as wide of an area as we can, recognizing that there's some limitations on right-of-way. But anyway, this just provides some guidance for staff as well as applicants of how they could incorporate those facilities into developments in Payson. Priorities. With this, we looked at priority 1, 2, and 3. Your priority 1 are really your community showcase. We've got a few that are that we're working on right now. The one that's under construction is the Salem Canal Connector Trail that goes along the Salem Canal. But then you also have priority 2, which is just the support network. You're going to see that as the community starts to fill in or as we start to see some improvements made in some of these new growth areas. And then priority 3 is ones that you always want to still have on your mind, but they're more vision because either of where they're located, maybe some of the area hasn't been annexed yet, but you still want them on you want to be thinking about those because sometimes there's some opportunities that arise annexation, for example, that you may want to say, hey, we already anticipate that we're going to have these facilities there and we're going to make that a condition of annexation or of development or something, even though you know that it may not be built for many years, you still want to take advantage of the opportunity. So we've got those listed in there too. And then also, there's going to be times that priority 2 becomes priority 1 or priority 1 becomes priority 2, just because of resources or timing or partnerships, whatever it may be. But we took a really good guess at, okay, what could we see happen within the next, between 1 and 5 years, which was priority 1. And then 2 is a little bit further out than that. But, you know, there's, again, we're going to always try to find a way to incorporate these facilities as quickly as we can. But it is a long-term plan, you know, building out the community. We've seen that with a lot of developments. And we've started on projects that have taken 15, 20 years, but you have to plan for them. You have to incorporate them. You have to make sure that we're sharing the information with decision makers in order to make sure that we can get those improvements. I did not include the list of all of the projects, but I just wanted to show you what it looks like in the plan. So whether it is on street or if it's paved path, intersection and crossing, we actually have listed projects that we see could happen within those timeframes, whether it's priority 1, 2, or 3. So there are a lot of projects that we have looked at that we feel like could be incorporated into our community. As you can see on these paved path, Highline Canal Trail is the first one we have listed. We're hoping that that will maybe start in 2028. And yeah, we met with Central Utah, or actually the Bureau of Reclamation last week, and they said as far as they know,
Yeah,
it's
but we're
still,
paying the money. So.
yes. And so Central Utah is, yeah, it's paying the bill, but there's a big partnership with a lot of agencies in order to pipe the Highline Canal, that irrigation
And the
facility.
enclosure of the Highline Canal is a $300 million project.
Yes. So. Yes. And it could be, but again, we see the opportunity that if this facility is piped, that we can have trail facilities within that corridor. So we're making sure it's part of our plan. We make sure it's part of the conversation. And we definitely want to be a partner in making sure that happens because we see that as a huge benefit for the residents of Payson City. So anyway, so that just gives you a little idea of how it's prioritized. Again, community showcase, support network, and then the vision. The other one, I'll just give a brief little update on, but the Salem Canal Trail, which is 3006 on that list. They will probably have the Payson section of that from the Junction Trailhead. So I don't know how many of you go on the east side of Payson along Salem Canal, very often headed to Salem.
I've got a meeting there tomorrow.
There is a trailhead park that has been constructed as part of this project, and it's called the Payson Salem Trailhead Junction or something like that, because it's just a junction of the two communities, you know, where that trail intersects. So there's a lot of sections that have been done. The Payson section will probably be paved mid to late July. So this month we will see the Payson section. So when it's all said and done, you're going to have 7 miles. I mean, from, well, probably more than that if you're in town, but from the east side of the community all the way to the Poplar Lane in Spanish Fork to Spanish Fork River Trail, you're going to have 7 miles of paved trail with trailheads along the way. It's going to be a great thing for South Utah County. We're really super excited about it. So we're even working on those now, and there's going to be one that we're even going to be able to put a check mark by. So it's pretty exciting. So anyway, so you'll see those, and that this will not be the last time you see this. As we have more developments or more conversations, or we start looking at additional planning efforts, you will likely see this again of, okay, what are our goals? How can we implement this? Is there a way that we can incorporate this? Here's your planned on street. This is the network that we're showing at this time for your buffered bike lanes and your bike lanes. So you can see just, you know, again, if you were to have side by side the destinations map and this map, you would see that we're trying to find ways to get people to those critical destinations within our community and then beyond. As you see, we stop at the Payson boundaries, you know, in most cases, But there was also an effort to communicate with our adjacent, with our neighbors to say, you know, how can we connect this into your system? So it isn't just and at Payson boundary. We want to get to Salem. We want to get to Spanish Fork. Again, that connected system.
We even want to go to Santa Quinn and
And
Spring Lake.
Yes, and Santa Quinn and Spring Lake, absolutely, absolutely. And every community around us is, you know, Spring Lake's a new community and I'm sure that they will jump right into that. But with all the other communities around us, they're all doing these efforts. They probably already have plans in place. But there is a real push for providing these additional transportation facilities. Paved paths, as you can see, a lot of those are adjacent to those same well, actually, I didn't even put the paved path one in there, did I? That's the bike lanes. But anyway, a lot of them are the same, except for there are some that are parallel on a parallel street in order to make those trails. And even in some cases, the bike lanes more safe. This one here, this shows everything. I mean, look how busy this is. If all of this was built, we would be so connected. Probably more connected than everyone wants to be. But anyway, when you put it all together and you're looking at all of, you know, whether it's intersection and crossings, on street, off street, there is a lot of opportunity. Many of these would be more for recreation, but a lot of grid there to also help with the support network in the inner part of the city. So implementation plan, again, it's a phased approach. Short term is like 1 to 5, midterm, long term. So that's your priority 1, 2, and 3. So we are looking at it well into the future. This is a living document. So as we see new opportunities or if we see changes, we will come back and we will massage this plan. We will make changes as we need to in order to support the overall connectivity. But align projects with road paving and development. That's another thing that we can do for implementation. We're always looking at doing road projects in the city. There's at least one road project that's done every budget year. And it just depends on funding. But wherever when we're doing a road repaving or we're doing a new development, we want to make sure that we're coming back to this plan. We do not intend for this plan to be something that's adopted and then we ignore. It needs to be part of our review process. We need to be asking the questions about it and making sure that we're getting those, you know, those facilities where they're going to be the most beneficial. But yes, so if it's a city project with road repaving or if it's a new development, we need to be looking at this plan. Design standards and maintenance. We also wanted to find out again, what's best practices? You know, what is the width of the trails? What's the design speed, you know, for a particular road if we're putting bike facilities on there? What's the grade of the road? Is this a flat road? Is this a steep incline? Is there a need to have an off-road path that maybe has some switchbacks or something in order to still provide that safe, that safe area, but without, having as much grade. Sight distance, intersections, are we making sure that there is enough sight distance to make it safe at those intersections? And then of course, pavement, what's the thickness of pavement? So some things get really technical in this, probably more technical than you'll probably dive into. But I guess the overview is this team did look at a variety of things to make sure that this was a well thought out plan. But again, might need to make some adjustments, but we really are starting with a good base. Also, as far as design standards, how are we treating these intersections? Do we need to be designing them differently from the get-go? Or are there some that are unsafe that we need to have some intersection improvements? Mid-block crossings, signalization, all those are mentioned. Bikeway transitions. Again, you have these bike facilities and then you come to an intersection. How are you integrating? Yeah, it works on a straight road of having a bike lane, but when they get to the intersection and you have all these different movements, how are pedestrians still getting through there? And then of course, maintenance. I think our Parks Department is well aware of a lot of the maintenance that's required for these facilities, but there still are some additional recommendations of making sure that we're maintaining them properly to get the most life out of these facilities. And just as a little side note also, so we received funding through a recreation grant to rehab some of the Dry Creek trail corridor. So some of the trails along the Dry Creek corridor in the southern part of Payson were probably built in the late 90s, early 2000s. And they need a refresh. And in some cases, they need to be reconstructed. And so we were able to secure some money on that. So some of those sections along the Dry Creek channel will actually be rehabbed. And so that will be another exciting thing, especially for those that live in the immediate area or those that are actually going to these trail facilities to recreate or to get to their destination. So that was probably one that was on the priorities list also that we'll be able to put a check mark. Pretty excited. And then potential funding. They also, it was really nice that they're putting all of the potential funding in one document, because we hear all the time, oh, there's this grant or this grant or this grant. And it's nice just to have it all bundled in one document. So
It's
if we're
quite a
looking at
list,
going to
actually.
have, and they provided links also. Now, those links may change over time, but it's nice that we can go and say, okay, we want to apply for the outdoor recreation grant through the state of Utah. That is due in May. And anyway, it can give us a little bit of a strategy of how we are approaching funding. We're trying to stretch the dollar as far as we can. We're always trying to find ways to find other partners and other funding sources to help us, so it's not all coming out of the pockets of our residents.
So that second item there on the potential funding,
Yes.
that development, we cannot let the developers slide. We have to insist that they do their part. They're the reason, a lot of the reason we have to do this.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
have to, the reason we need to do this.
Right. Well, and we also are trying to encourage, help them recognize that
The
it's
importance
important
of
for
it.
their development also.
Right.
And the livability
And-
and even the marketability,
Yes.
by
And-
having
and
those
they
amenities.
need to do their part.
Yeah, yeah.
And we can't just say, oh, you don't have to do this part now.
Right.
You have to, even if it goes to nowhere, it's the trail to nowhere. They still need to do their part.
Right. Yeah, well, that was part of the conversation with sidewalk. It's
Yeah.
like, do you require this person to put sidewalk in when their neighbors don't have it? Well, you have to start somewhere.
Yes.
And it's just, and sometimes
we
it's like
have
a
to put
patchwork,
sidewalk in. That's what it is.
and it takes a long time in order to get those connections. I bring up all the time Hancock, I call it Hancock Pass, but down where Hidden Cove, on the southern part of, we tried for 20 years.
It was a long time.
And when we were able to work with the landowner in order to get the property needed to build that, it was a great day. But it took
made
20
for a very
years.
nice trail.
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah.
So,
And so sometimes it's very long term, but we kept our eye on the target and we found an opportunity and everything aligned. So, but yes, developers do have a requirement in this, and we do need to make sure that we're working with them and helping them. So, and a lot of the developers, they'll see the benefit of that. But there's some that don't, and we will just continue to educate and hopefully take more of the education approach than the requirement. But we do want to have this plan in place.
but if they're
to
developing
require-
something where our plan shows something, they need to incorporate it.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd second not just education, but a requirement.
Yeah.
Where you say we got to start somewhere, when you talk about the 20 years to work, I don't want to wait 20 years to
Right.
see us have this
Yeah.
discussion again.
Yeah. And if the development's happening now, it will. The one with 20 years, they have not developed their property. And
Yeah.
so it's,
Right.
And otherwise, there would have been, we would have had the ability to get it in sooner, but they weren't ready to develop their property, and we can't, we didn't want to force them, and cities can't condemn for trails, and, condemnation is the very last option on anything. But, yeah, it's just sometimes it takes a little longer than we'd like, but the ones that are happening now, yes, we need to get them in. And then it's the domino effect from that, the next development. So, yeah. And I think most people enjoy having, some people get worried with privacy and things with trails in their neighborhood, but, I think for the most part, people like the fact that maybe they could just walk across the street and get on the trail and go enjoy, an evening walk or get to the ballpark or whatever it may be. So yes, so potential funding, that's a great resource for us because we have so many different options that are just right there at our fingertips that we can explore. And then just next steps, this is my last slide. is adoption in the general plan. So this plan has been, we're already using this plan, but we do need to incorporate it into the general plan. So we are looking for a recommendation, a positive recommendation from the Planning Commission to go on to the City Council so we can get this incorporated into the general plan. And then also there'll just be more coordination on implementation. Any questions for me?
I had a couple. Is there an existing active transportation plan? I thought there was a skeleton one, but not really anything in the general plan.
We did,
Are we, what
There-
I'm asking is, are we revoking that one and putting this one in?
yes. So any of those previous plans is we took the information to then incorporate it into this plan we will adopt as part of our general plan. There was our first, I guess technically our first active transportation plan was the South County cities got together.
Right.
So you may have seen that as one of the previous studies, but about 6, 7 years ago, Springville to Santaquin, I think, were the communities that participated in that. And so but it was looking more at regional connections. It wasn't looking at.
That was
each of our-
mainly just the regional
Yeah.
stuff.
So it was like, okay, these communities are working together. We want to make sure there's good connection. Where are those corridors? And so I'm sure a lot of that was incorporated into this plan, but we even went further to say, now we're just looking at our community and how do we connect destinations within Payson? So,
The other question I had is, when I read through this quickly, I didn't see anything talking about e-transportation. And,
well, there's some references to the functional class map,
yeah,
but I haven't read it like in the last couple days either.
so I didn't see
yeah.
anything about e-bikes and
Yeah,
all that kind of
yeah.
stuff. And do we need to have something in there on that? That's a big thing now.
I think we do. I wouldn't necessarily hold up the adoption of this, but I
No,
think that
I
we
don't
do
say
need
holding
to
up the
have the
adoption, but I think we
conversation.
need to have that conversation.
Because I think I could be wrong on this, but we started having a conversation about e-bikes with the Fort Bay property. And then, but I don't think we've talked about it citywide.
Okay.
And Fort Bay is different
Right.
than in town.
Yep.
And so, yes, we probably should have that conversation, come to a resolution and put it in this plan in the future. I think that's a great suggestion.
Okay. Anybody else have questions, comments? Okay, I need a motion for a public hearing then.
I'll make a motion for a public hearing on the proposal of the recommendation of the citywide active transportation plan to be included in the Payson City General Plan.
Do I have a second for public hearing?
I'll second that.
Commissioner Frisbee, thank you. All in favor, yes?
Yes.
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 Public?
Oh, don't ask hard questions.
I don't do this very often.
Are you public?
I
The kind of public?
quasi. Robert Mills, Assistant City Manager and advocate of active transportation. This is really important to me, and so I wanted to be here and just express my support for this. And this was such a cool project, and really a great step forward for Payson City. A couple other things that I just wanted to bring up. There are many, many reasons to adopt this, and many, many reasons that cities look at active transportation and we want to incorporate that. Public health is a huge part of that. Economic development is actually a really big part of active transportation
It
and
is.
why we do certain things like this and why we incorporate them. But for Payson specifically, one of the major things that I wanted to bring out and make sure is on the record is, if you really think about what we value, small town feel comes up all the time. And for a community and its members of all ages and all abilities to be able to traverse our community safely, that really contributes to that feeling of being a small town. When we create communities that over time become uh, one vehicular mode of transportation centric, to the point that we are afraid to go to the store, to walk to the store, or send our kid to the store on a bike, that sometimes diminishes that feeling that we have of being a small town. And so as we do things and as we advocate for transportation that makes sure that we consider bikes and walking and pedestrians and all of these different things, in my mind, it really contributes to that idea that we remain a small town even as we grow, because this lays the groundwork as we grow to ensure that those facilities are carried out throughout our city. So even if you do live in the villages out on Arrowhead, there's a safe way to traverse and be part of a community that gets you to parks and all of those different things. So I just wanted to take a minute and express my appreciation for this project and offer any encouragement to adopt it. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we need to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing then on the recommendation of citywide active transportation plan to be included in the Payson City General Plan.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor by yes?
Yes.
Yes. Any
opposed? Okay, discussion?
I just want to make a comment based on what Robert said, because of comments that I've heard recently just about people being in a rush to turn on corners and ignoring people in the crosswalk. That's definitely something that when you create a bike lane, when you create these wider spaces, right, these paths, that should definitely be emphasized somehow, either through signs or whatever, just to make sure that whoever is in some really, really, I'll call it unnecessary hurry, doesn't turn a corner and sideswipe somebody on a bike that's 6 years old or whoever, right? Because I mean, that's going to happen as well. And it's just happening because people are in too much of a hurry. And this is a New Yorker telling you this, that it's embarrassing. I mean, even when I'm in New York, I have to watch for the e-bikes with the Uber Eats people zipping by to go deliver some pizza, 10 blocks up. But I mean, it still creates an awareness that we have to slow down a little bit and continue that small town feel to make sure that, and I'll just say, our children are protected. Because all it takes is one person to pay attention to their phone and not to that turn signal or the crosswalk or the bike lane and hit some kid, and then all of a sudden we'll go, "Ooh, my bad." No, that would be like an unwritten thing in the active transportation plan to make sure that that doesn't happen in the confines of Payson. Because that would send the opposite effect of saying that it was created and then it was ignored because we were too busy to pay attention to these lovely new paths. So I'm just adding on to what Robert said.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, let's make a motion.
Can I make a motion then to send a positive recommendation of the, do I call it the newly adopted citywide,
No. No.
just the active, okay, the citywide active transportation plan to be included in the Payson City General Plan?
I have a motion from Commissioner Hammond.
I'll second.
And a second from Commissioner Brinkerhoff. All in favor by yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed?
They didn't give us an option. That was the only recommendation in the packet.
Staff really wanted it, okay? Before we go to Michael, maybe our prosecuting attorney could introduce himself.
Sorry, I'm running a little bit late.
That's okay.
Business is booming. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
He's brand new, so
Jeff Sewell, and I reported a couple weeks ago here. Reporting, I just retired after 21 years at the FBI. Reporting last position with legal attaché in Mexico City. My wife was raised in Santa Fe, been gone 29 years. And, had approached me about a year ago, you know, to retire. What would it take to get her home? And I said, well, I don't, you know, we'll just have to find a way, right? Maybe if by Providence, I'm not sure. She called me a few months ago and said, hey, there's a prosecutor job posted in Payson. I said, really? They've got like the Santa Queen and the Fuller Queen. So anyway, I looked it up and decided to throw my hat. So very glad to be here. My wife is currently in Texas. He's in contract. I am an Aggie. Our oldest daughter is an Aggie. These are state. I'm 14, still at home. We're looking forward to getting here and getting settled soon.
Are you moving to Payson or to Santaquin?
We haven't figured that out yet. I'm starting to sort of deliberate the idea of the wisdom of living in the town where I'm actually putting people. I might not be the smartest guy, but I do. It's something that's on our mind.
So you're saying you're gonna build in Harriman then or something?
So yeah. So my wife's extended family are now in American Fork and Pleasant Grove. I don't think we want to go up there. I think we're looking
Stay on the south end of the county here.
Payson, Salem, you know, this kind of maybe Sanford, but just kind of this general.
We'd love to have you in Payson.
Yeah,
So,
well, but welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
thanks. All right, Michael, you're up for the work session.
Is everybody ready for a riveting work session?
Yes.
So we can take this in two directions. Remember, we had our beautiful Appendix A hard copies that were delivered to you.
Oh, perfect.
Does everybody have that and have you memorized it?
For last week or last time?
Yeah,
Let's do that one next time.
okay.
I'll forget it next time.
But look at that.
Rachel has one.
Yes, I have mine. Great memory.
And
I
Ryan has one too. So.
I can pull it up so it depends on what you want to look at. If you want to look at this Appendix A, we can do that. Otherwise, we would work on the supplementary provisions section.
I'd rather look at it.
I don't know which one will take more or less time. So it's up to you. Which one?
Depends on how far we go in Appendix A.
So we are about 2/3 the way through it already, because we've already done some approvals through Planning Commission and City Council to adopt a few changes when some applicants came through.
Right.
And so we've already gone through a good portion of it. And so we'd just be going through.
What's everybody's feeling?
I don't want to do yard work, so sure, I'm fine to stay. But I'm deferred to the.
You okay going through Appendix A? Maybe finish it out?
So there's like 7 pages basically that we would do.
Yeah, we're only going to have questions on one of them, so we'll be fine.
Very good. Let's go with that. Let me pull it up so that you can see it on the screen.
That would be good.
Work. Easier.
All right. So can everybody see that on your personal screens there?
Yep.
So as I was saying, we've gone through a good portion of this. I am going to scroll down to the part that says printing, publishing industries. Quite honestly, with this one, I don't know why all of these things are broken out. They're more or less going to be printed, most of them in the same way. But what is everyone's thoughts on these things? I don't feel as if they're really appropriate necessarily to be in other zones. If it's small scale copy and print, that's different. But if we're doing some sort of commercial large print project type stuff,
Doesn't need to be an I2. The only one it could maybe.
and just so you know, there's one of these where I live, and it does stink. So, and it's right in the center of town, but it's not strong stench, you know, but you do smell inks and dye type things and whatever. But anyway, thoughts on this one? I think we could maybe fold several of those into more of a generic one. I think the only one that really maybe could be separate is like photo engraving. I don't even know what typesetting is anymore. That, do we do that in this century?
Well, typesetting, type it into the computer and let it do it. Doesn't mean anything.
So anyways, that's why I'm saying with most of those, I think that they could probably be consolidated into like one or two items. And my recommendation would be to keep them where they are. Photo engraving looks like that's something that's permissible in the general commercial. And so anyway, thoughts on that from anyone?
I would agree with your recommendation.
Yeah, that seems good to,
I'm going to leave photo engraving alone, but maybe we combine the others into a more generic term.
yeah.
I don't know. I'll come up with that.
Business forms.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd do it based off quantity or be like, well, printing operations with more than
12
'cause
copies
I-
or whatever.
Yeah, well, you have like over in Spanish Fork, you've got on Main Street, is it J&M or whoever it is?
J-Mart.
Yeah.
J-Mart, yeah, they've just got their little small and they're fine there, but
You know, this is not. I don't even think these exist anymore. But this is not like Kinko's, right?
right.
Or copy centers inside of a Staples, right?
No.
We're talking more like a industrial print facility for.
Right.
That's all they do is print products. So
Does J-Mart fit the?
Yeah, I don't think it fits any of these. I think you'd be okay.
I
with-
think J-Mart would be more like a Kinko's type thing or
Yeah.
a Staples type, right?
we'd have to have somebody to supply our newspaper stands that we still have an ordinance for, so.
Right. Okay. Professional services. You can see there's various ones there. Marty, was there one or two here that we really kind of wanted to put in here that doesn't exist? Do you remember? So as you can see, most of these are professional office, central commercial, general commercial, and the S1. So more or less the commercial style zones.
Coupler and R&D and
Mhm.
couple in I1.
I think there was like dispensaries. Is that something that we were thinking doesn't exist that maybe should? The medical pharmaceutical.
Remind me what PO
dispensaries
is
and
again.
stuff. Remind you what?
Professional office. Oh, okay.
I don't know, that doesn't seem like a professional.
I take exception with engineering, surveying and land planning not being a professional office, but that's just because I understand why it's not there, but I like being called a professional.
I don't know why it isn't, though. Why wouldn't it be?
Well, there are times when surveying and stuff like that, they have outside
Heavy
facilities,
equipment and stuff. Yeah.
equipment and stuff. And so that's why. But an engineering firm, if that's all they did, could definitely be in a professional office,
So it'd be helpful to break those up. and
architectural type.
Allow engineering and stuff in just break those out into two.
Yeah. I
Where
mean,
you
if,
could
if
have
it's a
it.
surveying, land planning, environmental, yeah, then you don't want them in professional office because they have equipment that wouldn't be conducive to be in a professional office. But engineering and architectural, if that's all they are, then professional office is where they ought to be.
Well, quite honestly, many of that could be broken into many, like engineering and land use planning, for example, could be one item, but land,
Engineering, architectural, and land use planning could be one item. Surveying and environmental,
could, you could even throw architectural with engineering and land use planning type stuff.
yeah.
So maybe we break this into two items with the ones that potentially have heavy equipment and such and the ones that don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
My boy, they've got their survey. Have the drill rig and all that. No. But environmental could have drill rigs and all those kind of things. And, but surveying sometimes has, they have trucks and they have, some outside equipment and stuff like that.
Basically, if they have outside storage other than a a personal use vehicle,
Right.
then it probably should be elsewhere, right?
Right. I would agree with that. So if you can work that out to make it make sense, that'd be good.
Is there a way to make the professional office maybe more generic, where anything that is they just use a professional office, no matter what type of business it is? Or is that too open?
Well, the professional office is the zone.
Well, right, but I mean, like, make the services, maybe we can make one of the services be kind of a generic, I'm not sure exactly what to call it, but anything that's done in any kind of.
I wonder,
professional office.
this might be a legal question, but I wonder if we could have almost like a general office other.
Yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's got to be specific enough that we're calling something out, but generic enough that we can square peg round hole it, so
Right.
to speak. But
Yeah. If you can come up with something like that, I think that'd be good.
Yeah, put that in the notes. That'd be, especially with the square peg.
yes, that's the legal way of saying that, right?
Instead of having each individual,
Right.
because there's so many new types of businesses and sometimes they
Right.
don't fit any of those. Although none.
I
come
wonder
to
if
mind
something
right
like
now.
that, we could, for example, maybe that would be a conditional use. And that way, if
Yeah,
it's,
maybe you do that
if
as
the
conditional,
conditions
the-
are
the
met, for
surveying and
example,
the
they don't have
environmental
the
and that kind of
outside
stuff could be
storage and
conditional.
things, then you're like, well, this is really just a general office kind of a thing.
Yep.
So that being said, if we did some sort of a generic one, probably those main ones, maybe that professional office, central commercial, general commercial.
Don't we want the commercial zones to be more retail type?
I was just looking at some of these other ones and there.
Well, even your educational, scientific, and research could be problematic depending on what type of research they're doing in a professional office zone. So,
I did the same.
Are you talking about microorganisms that they sample and bring
well,
from China?
you have like IMSAR over in Springville that could fall under that, and I don't know that you'd want that in a
What are you talking about?
IMSAR over in
Like
that-
what do they do?
ground mapping radar and all sorts of stuff, but they could fall under your scientific research, and you've got those in a professional office space, but yet they also manufacture and build stuff on site and everything else. So when you use that term,
I think we'd probably do something where we would break it up. So we'd have them list all of the uses that they're going to do on the property. And if they're having manufacturing, well, then that needs to go elsewhere. And so,
Then it's someplace else.
yeah,
Then
Now, if
then it's an
they're-
I-1 or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why when applicants apply to do something, we ask, what are the uses of the property that they're doing? Because they could potentially have more than one use that they're wanting to do in a particular building or site. That's pretty common, especially like, office warehouse, for example.
Yeah.
So That's probably how we would address something like that. So I just put down for that professional office, central commercial and general commercial, but I'm not,
I think central. Maybe general.
thoughts on that from anyone? For that, kind of that catch-all office one?
Yeah.
You want to consider it out of any of those zones, or do you want to put it in any other ones?
Any kind of professional office could be in the professional office, the central commercial or the general commercial. And then if they have specialized something, outside services or whatever, then they got to be someplace else.
So you're okay with those three zones then?
Yeah.
I, oh,
If we can do conditional use for like R&D or any of the other ones, that would mean that if a business tries to apply, we would get to look at it before putting in that
that's
zone.
true.
That's correct.
I think it might be good to include a couple of other zones.
So with that, what would you recommend as conditional for R&D?
The general office that we're talking
Oh,
about?
that generic one?
Yeah.
Okay. But any of the others?
That I'm not sure of.
I would take it out of central. Central commercial, I feel like we want more like retail oriented that, or things that people can interact with. That's our
I mean, central commercial is the downtown, right?
town area. And I
So,
don't think we
so
want
really
office buildings and that for
anything in that area really ought to probably be more retail oriented versus office oriented.
Well, but the central commercial is also the older part of town, and it's oftentimes historic, things like that.
Oh, yeah, so that,
we're really not going to build new in there, and so it's a retrofit too. So it's kind of a
True.
balance you have to kind of figure out.
Yeah.
So I'm not married to the idea of either one. I'm just putting it
Okay.
out there.
Play with that a little bit, see what you come up with.
Okay.
Bring it back to us.
I'll just put a question mark by that one. Okay. So then the next one, because it wasn't specific enough, now we're going to go to professional, scientific, photographic, and optical manufacturing. Don't ask me why this is as specific as it is, but that's what we've got to work with right now. Feedback on some of this, just
What-
looking at that.
Why would that title just be scientific or professional manufacturing, period? And then not list all that other garbage there.
I don't know.
This is where we make change, Michael. So yeah,
Let's see if
that's how we
'cause
change.
do have other manufacturing. Let's see how that's listed.
What? Guys,
Yeah.
I love,
So we've got metal manufacturing, lumber, wood, composites manufacturing. So yeah, I mean, I don't see why we couldn't have more of it, just as professional scientific manufacturing, something like that.
Yeah,
yeah,
because professional scientific, photographic, optical manufacturing,
lumber.
that's silly. And then to have all those listed things there,
yeah,
Yeah, let's consolidate that.
I like the specific automatic temperature.
yeah, the automatic temperature controls, they can have those in the industrial only, you know, then whatever.
Oh,
I think with those, maybe we could combine, especially where they have the same, where they're permitted in the same zones, we might be able to combine.
Yeah,
some of
just
those.
combine it all.
Like number 1 and 2, for example.
Yep.
number
who
one and
cares
two,
if
I
If
concur.
it's mechanical measuring instruments or it's a scientific lab.
The same, I mean, 1, 2, 5, 6, 7 are all essentially the same thing.
Yeah,
Lab or medical, manufacturing.
Mm,
I'm gonna combine 5, 6, and 7 together because that's pretty much the same thing.
Yep.
Ophthalmic goods, isn't that for your eyes?
Yeah.
Well, what's the difference between optical instruments and ophthalmic goods? Like if those are both eye things, right?
I don't know, but why don't we combine number 4 and 8 together?
Yeah. Yep. Well, they've got their professional office, but do we really want any manufacturing at all in professional office?
Well, aren't they able to like, is it considered manufacturing if they cut their own lenses?
Well, I don't
'Cause
know.
that might be
That
where
might
it
be,
allows
that
them
might
to
be
do.
what it is. That
Yeah.
might be exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's definitely very light and very professionally done type of a thing.
Yeah.
Whereas some of these other things, you know, if you're manufacturing surgical equipment,
Right.
you
That's a different
probably don't-
story
Yeah.
than lenses.
Yeah.
Good point.
photographic equipment and supplies. I don't even know if they manufacture watches, clocks, and clockwork anymore. But anyways, 11 and 12 could probably combine.
Can you scroll
Would you
down a bit?
scroll up so we can see it?
Sorry. So 11 and 12, watches, clocks, and musical instruments. I mean, I don't know why we need to
Washington Journal
call that out.
Johnson
Why do we
section?
even call that out?
Don't know. I think we could probably combine the watches and clocks as just in that mechanical.
Yeah.
Isn't a clock a mechanical measuring device? But
If it's the only clocks that would be a problem would be mechanical ones, would be something we need to worry about. If it's electronics, what difference does it make?
right.
So,
Now, obviously the watches and clocks ones, this is, you know, going back a century, but it was something where people would actually do that in kind of a commercial zone, right?
right.
I think it's more of a novelty thing more than anything, or something that's produced in mass, and it's
Yeah.
not really you go somewhere to repair your watch anymore. But I don't know. Thoughts on that?
Have we had a lot of call for mortician's goods?
You know, we must if it's in there.
Although typesetting, that's the one where I'm like, that means nobody's reviewed that in many, many years, the typesetting part.
I think you can definitely combine a bunch of those there.
I don't think we necessarily need to add it to any other zones. Is there anything that we're missing here? Maybe we do a catch-all kind of one, or more of a generic one that we could fit a few more things into and eliminate some of these specific,
Yeah.
unless those specific ones are ones we want to make sure that they have certain locations to be done at.
And the biggest issue is if there's outside storage of raw materials, or if there's smells or sounds that impact a lot of things. Other than that, most of this stuff could be anywhere.
Would we be able to make that like a deciding
Yeah.
verbiage, like interior, I don't know. Like something that calls out specifically where they're storing things?
I would think so.
I think some of those are too, if they are like being sold to the general public, right? Some of that watches, clocks, the pens, pencils, costumes, like if that's being sold retail to the general public, then that's why it can be in those other spots. But other than that, it could all be, say if it's contained just for manufacturing, that's one. But if you have like a retail store, then it can be in both. Type deal.
Yeah, retail would fit in the industrial zone that we have those two things in. those things in.
I think those novelty type items, there's no reason why they can't be in a commercial zone.
Exactly,
But
exactly.
some of those things that are sold wholesale and not retail, they probably need to be in more of the R&D and the industrial.
And the
zone.
industrial zones. Yeah, I mean, specialized laboratory instruments, that's not
Correct.
a retail product. That's a hospital calling up and saying, we need 7 of these type thing.
I think that maybe that's how we break it up, is maybe we have one that's for basically items that are sold to
Consumers.
companies and businesses, and then
Right.
one that's sold to the general public. And then any number of these that we feel need to be called out specifically, we would do those.
I would agree with that.
That sounds good, Michael.
So I'm just putting a note on here. Okay, let's go down to the next section. Public assemblies. Marty, did we have a concern with one of these? And
There's lots of dance halls around, racetracks.
Ben,
We could use, what's that?
Said a lot of people want that.
They want
racetrack
that
back.
racetrack back.
We're still
We
not-
could, we could we could use a convention center too.
Can we put the racetrack in the bowl where the Space Center's going to
There's gonna be probably something else there eventually.
in 20 years,
No, it's coming.
19. I love your optimism.
There's actually
Kurt.
engineers looking at what they can do there.
All right. Until we get the Space Center. All right.
Do
I'll
we need to
believe you.
specify non-motorized racetracks? Because do you want to leave it open for motorized?
Oh, you don't want Radiator Springs? I mean, I'll take Radiator Springs in the bowl. I'm just kidding.
I mean, granted, it's in the A5. It is out there.
It's an
but-
A5, so yeah, I don't care if it's motorized
Right.
or horse or
True.
pig racing.
Well, that would, we definitely get in the news for that. Yeah,
It's
just,
in the A5 holding zone and it's conditional, so that means you get to pick and choose.
no, that section looks good, Michael. Except for the Space Center one for 9.
You're really pushing that space center thing.
I want something in the bowl. I told you. Once something goes there, then I'm off the planning commission.
It's kind
That's what my wife told me. Get some in the bowl and then you can be off planning commission.
I don't know. Nobody goes dancing anymore. So Marty and I were just talking, we figured we could change dance hall to be one that says reception center and dance hall.
Yeah,
Because oftentimes, the only time people do dancing is when you go to a wedding or something.
right.
You don't go to a place to go to a dance
If
anymore.
you're
That's-
gonna go to a place to dance, it's
1950.
usually a bar.
I don't know, I don't go to bars, but.
But
Hey,
that's.
there's really
Bars
good
for the
food at
dance
bars,
floor.
Michael. I mean, I can take
you're
you.
gonna
to-
ban
We can go to
dance,
We Blue Inn.
We Blue is like nationally recognized or something. Anyway,
Yeah, we can go on steak night or something. Anyway, but I think that's a wonderful suggestion to change it from dance hall to reception hall because that is something more applicable to what people are trying to do
Yeah.
with spaces, right? In order to accommodate all the weddings that happen.
Or like event center or something. maybe a
Yeah.
little more
Yeah.
detailed.
Yeah,
Something like that. That's more, I guess, up to date as far as what we see.
you can always dance in any of those places. Why don't we just call it reception and
Wow.
event center?
They still do have like a lot of country western places.
Yeah, I don't go to any of those, but I believe you.
Aren't those typically bars though? Like Kirk was saying? Like I think you
typically, that's
See?
the only place I've seen it is
See, Michael,
bars.
I'm taking you to We Blue Inn on steak night.
Not in where I'm from, they had a big one and it was packed all the time. And I believe they did have a bar inside, but that was not.
that wasn't the main
Yeah.
use.
I think
It
that could-
was- They do the
Westerner. or what?
dance, the line dancing and all
Yeah.
that.
But I think that
Line
could be
dancing or-
classified as a reception or event center.
Yeah, that'd be more,
do
that'd be more up to date than dance.
Would that really be an event center though, if it's just,
You could just add reception and event
Yeah.
center to dance hall.
Yeah.
Reception hall.
Cause there is like swing dancing stuff. in
Or like
Provo.
Rachel says, as an event center,
What's that?
an event center.
Right. That,
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah, so I just changed that to say reception and event center and struck out dance hall.
that works. That's perfect.
like
Most
it?
likely, that would be what we'd classify a dance hall under if someone
Yes.
were to come and
Yeah.
do it, so.
Yeah.
Anything else, or should we amend any of those uses?
Are people trying to do drive-in movie theaters anymore?
No, but it's actually kind of
Hope
a
so.
cool idea. I don't know.
My dream.
Takes up too much land probably. But
And
They
the,
have
the
one in
biggest
Vernon.
problem with it is probably in this area
Or Roosevelt.
is that it's a 9-month operation.
Mm.
If
well, that and
There's like still one, like 45 minutes away, right?
Yes.
Down in Ephraim or something.
Yep. Mount Pleasant, I think.
Yeah, Roosevelt has one
Land is a
too,
little
all the way out that way.
easier. Yeah.
So
I don't think it hurts to leave it in there.
it doesn't hurt to leave it in
Yeah,
there. It's
yeah.
Something on
conditional.
West Mountain, if somebody wanted to do that, and you're like, oh, great, we've got a drive-in theater. You know,
Yeah, just not in the same space as the shooting range. I mean, yeah, something like that.
you get surround sound.
Multi-use, just, yeah. Sorry, I'm being facetious.
Plus, the
but-
shooting range didn't
9
happen.
months of
So,
the year it can be there.
Yet,
all right, moving on then.
Mr. Sewell is definitely getting oriented with what we talk about, so. Yeah, welcome to Payson, yep.
So, railroad motor vehicle transportation. Quite honestly, I'm not quite sure why this exists. The only thing I could see is like the bus garaging and equipment type stuff.
The only thing here is an equipment and service area.
Because most of these are government or quasi-government type
So,
services.
so the only thing we could probably say here is service areas we want in specific areas.
The only thing I could also think about, and I don't know that this is gonna ever happen, but be like a taxi service.
Right.
Because Uber has kind of taken that stuff over, right?
Mhm.
Right.
So,
But we do have a bus. I forget the name
Like
of
a-
the business that we have that's in that old,
Well,
Like a-
they're right next to the school district has the bus garage over there. So,
we do have, that's a,
and they're in a residential zone.
Really?
But you're right, where that's government mostly, then I can just see where,
I say we just leave it as is, but honestly, that
It,
I
it
don't see
doesn't,
it's
it
gonna
isn't gonna
happen.
mean anything.
right,
It doesn't really mean anything. The important thing is that if they're doing maintenance, if they have a big bus garage, say UTA decides to put a bus garage down here, we don't want that in a residential area.
problem is if UTA decides to do that, they're probably gonna go anywhere they want anyways.
They might,
So,
they might.
all right, so continuing on. Recreational activities.
There's your shooting range.
it consolidate a lot of those.
I don't know why we have ropes course called out by itself,
Right.
but
Really?
That's with the steps recovery, and that's why it's in the S1 is that we had to approve that to have them have that in that S1 service.
and that's why it's.
But I think it's funny that we
accessory
restricted
use.
it just to the S1. I would think out the agriculture or something like that, it would
Yeah,
actually be a
it could
great
be- it
place to
could
put a
be-
larger ropes course.
Okay,
But, well, it is
Well, it's an
because steps
accessory.
recovery has one.
right.
It is there and functioning.
so it's not permitted
Could that be
without
a
a
racetrack,
primary
maybe?
use there.
They have to meet certain conditions.
Yeah, that's why it's an A, it's
Oh.
an accessory use.
It's a conditional, it's not conditional, but they have to meet certain requirements.
But I think we should permit it in the agricultural zones or something like that, because
Yeah,
if
it
somebody
should be
wanted to
in
go
the
build
A5.
one, I think it should totally be permitted out there.
So you're saying a permitted use in
Yeah.
A5?
Yeah.
Okay, anything else to add or change to any of those?
Oh,
Can swimming pools and water slides be combined? I don't know.
yeah.
I would, yeah, we could probably combine those and then maybe add splash pads too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Splash pads, we should permit just about everywhere.
Well, if it's a commercial type of
Yeah.
enterprise,
if it's a-
otherwise it's
it's
just
a
a public
cellular,
facility.
Yeah.
So
Ryan,
take
I'm
it-
still lobbying for a lazy river around my house, so, I mean, sure, splash pad
You want a
after the
moat
lazy
around your
river.
house?
You
No,
got a
I'm
lazy-
serious,
you got
that's
a
what I
lazy
want.
river in your
It's not a
backyard. All you
moat.
gotta do is go out there and
Jump
jump
in
in
the
the
canal.
canal. It's
Well, I
lazy.
mean, I can carve it around. I don't, I mean, it's still the helipad.
So-
There's gonna be a lot of stuff going on in the back of my
What
backyard.
defines it as a moat versus a lazy river?
The amount of alligators.
Alligators,
Yeah,
got it,
we're
okay.
gonna have an Alcatraz gator, whatever, in my backyard.
All right, I'm
You
just
know,
glad that was.
Just
clarified.
one lion. I mean, it's gonna be, right. We got big plans, so something. Stay tuned.
Let's continue as we're staying tuned. Repair services. This gets pretty detailed with these.
Um, we got watch and repair services again. Nice.
Well, the other was manufacturing.
This is building parts or not building parts. This is fixing.
But honestly, yes, I think we could probably just put that all in one thing and then strike it. 'Cause
Yeah. Miscellaneous repair shops type thing. Miscellaneous appliance and other repair.
So the reupholster and furniture repair is an interesting scenario. And the reason why I say that is somebody lives in my neighborhood and they do it as a home business. So,
They do that as a home business. Yeah.
I mean, is it really that intrusive that it needs to be?
It's not. It,
It probably depends on how big the operation
Yeah,
is though.
it's
'cause, like, if
exactly
just a
right.
home- no, but-
Yeah.
Wouldn't be storing stuff outside either.
Right.
I'm thinking of the places I've gone to for reupholster and furniture, and they're not very big.
Mm-hmm.
They're not very big at all.
Even the ones that use
So why would we take an I1
True.
to do that?
True. Even the ones that use it for reupholstering furniture at the temple is not very big either.
Yeah.
So,
Why would it need to be an I1?
I mean, I guess it could be a large operation. And
I guess it could, but only permitted it then in the general commercial zone?
as long as they use the bike trail to bring their materials in and stuff like that, then sure, we'll let it happen in Payson then.
I don't.
After the transportation plan gets approved in the city plan. Sure, as long as they're transporting everything with e-bikes, just on the right shoulder using,
and that would
Three fingers.
require more repair service because those
Yeah.
e-bikes need to be
as long
reupholstered.
as it's not raining or snowing, yeah. I'm just thinking about,
Well, this is where we
creating
have
that-
appliance and computer repair wrapped together in one, and it
Yeah.
seems a little restrictive. Computer repair probably doesn't need to be restricted just to the industrial zone, since we
No.
have one on Main Street. But
yeah, true.
Which one is that?
so we have appliance computer repair number 5. We have like appliance repair. I see that, move that out, but just computer repair being restricted just to the industrial seems a little bit overly restrictive.
I'd say the watch, jewelry, computer,
Could totally be general commercial.
yeah, small appliance could all be general commercial.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Or S1.
I mean, if you're fixing washers and dryers, that might not be a good place for general
Right.
commercial, but
Those are large.
That's why I
Yeah.
said I think split those up. And
Yeah.
What
I'd
about
make
central
large and
commercial
small.
for like that computer repair too?
yeah, computer repair could be general commercial.
since we already have one there.
Oh, computer watch repair. Why don't we put those two together?
Yeah, watch repair, all of those.
Well, when you repair your computer, you repair the watch in the computer.
Right, right. Yeah, so yeah, and watch battery is not the same as the, although sometimes it is, as the CMOS battery in your motherboard. Sure.
Good idea.
I know we're getting a little lurpy, but we're covering a lot of ground, aren't we?
Sure are. Yeah, I don't really feel
Mhm.
like television repair is a thing anymore.
No.
No, no, it's television repair is called Walmart the day
Buy a
after
new one.
Thanksgiving. That's what
Walmart
that
this
is.
time of year when they're bringing in the new models and getting
Uh-huh,
rid of the
or right
old.
before the
Yep.
Super Bowl, uh-huh, or the Olympics.
In with the small appliance computer,
Yeah.
get rid of the radio and television repair and small appliance and electronic repair.
Where are we seeing TV repair?
Um,
Oh, number 10.
Get rid of that and put it small.
Do we need all the individual call outs for like auto stuff? Cause there's like those four at the top and then there's small engine repair. And then there's the two different painting ones,
An RV repair.
an RV repair, yeah. And then obviously the diesel, which will be a little different, but it's like so many to call out.
I think the automobile and auto body restoration, they might as well go together because they're in the same zones anyways.
Right. And the same thing with painting and powder coat or, well, no.
I guess
not painting.
yeah, I too, but
But automotive repair and body work, yeah. Lube and tune up, they're fine where they're at. Detailing. Detailing's
well, but
mostly
even the ones
mobile
that are
nowadays.
different, it's like
Mobile, yeah.
Detailing's mostly mobile these days, so
true.
they don't work out of a building usually. But that's okay to be in those zones.
Right.
Still got pinstriping for people who want pinstriping. Number 16. It's not on the screen there, but
I don't know why the vehicular exterior application in parentheses pinstriping is even a thing. I
Why
don't
would
know
that
why
be
that
different than
couldn't
We're,
be
painting?
included
scroll
with-
up, I can't
yeah, you can't
what
see
that is.
16.
What does 16 say?
The
Oh,
pinstriping.
it's only in
Oh, yeah.
I1? Oh, that's silly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that should just go with detailing.
And typesetting.
Would that go with detailing or would that go with painting and like because that's exterior painting?
Well, painting and powder coatings of not just vehicles, though. That's
Right, but exterior application doesn't really tell me
No.
detailing.
Yeah, vehicular exterior application is really just putting stickers on your car, right?
Or
Just
or
in a-
a paint
Or it
stripe
could
on
be
your
painting
car
it.
right.
with the pinstripe.
Yeah, so
So I guess I'm thinking like the 15 also covers 16. So as long as we're okay with 16 also in I2.
I don't see why it couldn't be.
just put to include automotive. So it just
So that it
covers
is both.
automotive painting and any other painting and
Automotive
powder
and
coating. Yeah.
Painting and powder coating service including
Including automotive, because then it, yes,
then it's taken care of.
covers all that, but
Yeah, good call. It's not pin stripping. Okay.
that moves down to the next category.
Yes. That's right. That leads to the very next category.
Sexually oriented. In the very next business thing there, sexually oriented.
Okay.
That's the only place we permit it, huh?
Yep.
Well, good for us.
So state law requires that you have to permit it somewhere. But you have to permit it somewhere in your city boundaries. If we annex Santaquin, then we could do that. That could be the Santaquin zone. But quite honestly, I don't even think this is much of a thing anymore.
What does
Spanish Fork has one.
Sexually oriented business.
I mean, it still is possible. I just think that people get their
Spanish, I think,
thing
is
You've got,
actually.
yeah, that's right. You have the other one up on the other side.
The Dirty Joes.
And then you got the one up
that
by
McDonald's.
Target.
on Main Street, so.
Over
so
by
that
McDonald's over
or-
there.
or-
Anyway, yep, that's the only zone that it's permitted in, so. And that's, again, state law says it has to be permitted somewhere,
okay.
and the word
Are these
permitted.
Santa Claus.
Topless.
Gotcha.
I have been to one. but-
Oh, never mind.
I don't think it needs to be, and I don't think, I don't think it's a big deal.
Be pretty surprised to see that in Payson.
So,
The problem, yeah, whatever. It's no big deal to me. I don't care.
As long as it's tasteful on the outside and.
And right next to McDonald's, then you're good.
Which of our two McDonald's?
I'm good with leaving that right in I-2. That discourages it.
We've already got it up there by the golf course. So.
Yeah, they're by the golf course. That'd work. Up Payson Canyon. There you go.
Okay, continuing on, stone, clay, glass manufacturing. Again, this is another one where I don't know why we call it out as specifically.
So
as
all of
we
those
do.
different things. This should just be any heavy manufacturing is I-2. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah, it's all in the same.
Everyone's in the same zone, so.
Yeah. It's just all heavy manufacturing shall be I-2.
I think that this could probably be called out as, just like you said, heavy manufacturing, but maybe we have in parentheses, such as, and then.
Such as, yeah.
List a handful of these because.
List a few of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think 8 and 9 are kind of funny, right next to each other there.
Concrete brick and concrete products,
Excluding
excluding
brick.
brick, but they're the exact same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just like that we have plumbing fixtures right in the middle of China there on number 5, which I understand they're talking like porcelain plumbing fixtures, but I just think it's funny that it's like China plumbing fixtures in China. So,
All in the right order.
So,
Plumbing fixtures.
your heirloom plumbing fixtures.
so
So
Marty does call
metal
about the
parts.
concrete batch plants, and we should probably leave that separate because that is a really kind of a dirty
Well, and it's
operation.
conditional only versus
Right.
permitted.
So maybe 1 through 10 we combine and then leave
Yeah.
11 as its own thing. And
And then
leave
we
it as
single
is.
out the batch plant that we have.
not yet, but
One we have, we got 2. Well, there's other ones in county.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
other one's in the county. We got one in the city.
yes.
Any more thoughts on that section?
Now,
Okay.
make it simpler.
Storage and accessory structures, storage condos, units, facilities for machinery, equipment, silos, and agriculture purposes.
What's the difference between a storage condo and a storage unit?
Ownership.
Storage condos ownership versus rental.
Got it.
That's
Again,
it.
Yep.
I don't know
Condo
why
owned
they need
is
to be
owned
called
and then
out.
storage
Why
unit
can't you
just be
just say
rental.
storage units and condos and storage condos, but
It really. I'd
You could
just
put them
say
in the same one.
All storage facilities for private and commercial use.
or rent and owned storage units.
Yeah, rent and own storage units.
Or just storage facilities, because then we don't
Storage
specify between.
facilities.
Yeah,
what
that
you
gets a
should also-
little too vague because people try to cram a really big square peg into a round hole.
Yes, they do.
So I prefer not to go with that one.
And I'm not sure where we have silos for agricultural purposes and then say, well, it goes in the agricultural zone. Well, of course it does.
That makes sense.
It does, so it's fine.
Okay.
Hotels and motels, wherever we can put one.
Any changes to those? Hotels, motels, bed and breakfast? I would actually put short-term rentals in here. Because
that's probably a
that is
good idea to
already,
have that
that
in
is
there.
not allowed in our code and we need it somewhere.
Yeah, I would say that you, adding that is a good idea.
And can we not move bed and breakfast out to the agricultural too for somebody who wanted to do like a farmhouse bed and breakfast or something like that?
The biggest thing with short-term rentals is oftentimes it's in somebody's home. But maybe, yeah, this is for the all non-residential zones, so we could address that separately in those
Address it
residential
separately
zones.
in the residential zones.
And maybe it's a conditional use in a residential zone or something like that.
Plus, as we get closer to the Olympics and stuff like that, people are going to.
They're gonna rent their homes out and
we'll
whatever,
talk about
yeah.
that, but that's going to be something to attract people to come. to Utah and stay. While they go up.
I'd probably
Maybe CC,
CC
'cause those are the ones.
one. I'd probably put it in.
Geez, where's that one? Oh.
So my thoughts for short-term rentals would probably be GC1, CC1, S1, and A5.
Okay,
Yep.
And I was thinking about making them as permitted, or do you want to do conditional?
say conditional.
So, okay, how would that work? I'm confused.
What do you mean?
How would you put a short-term rental in those commercial zones?
Well, for example, what if somebody doesn't want to do a bed and breakfast, but they own an old home and they want to turn it into like a short-term rental type facility?
Okay, so like a
Or-
home that's in a commercial zone, a residence in a commercial
Or
zone?
maybe it's a second-story apartment,
Airbnb type stuff.
or, you know,
That's not
it
what
would,
I
it would
was-
still need to follow, it would still need to follow the underlying zone, so maybe conditional is good too.
Cause is mixed use even allowed in this one?
We all know it's program.
Yes.
But like
It's
you said, these are
not allowed in
non-residential
general
zones
commercial.
that we're doing
Yeah, these
here
are all-
versus residential. It's a
Commercial,
whole different.
non-residential.
We'll have to look at it for general commercial. So, residential's not allowed in the general commercial zone right now. We know we do have some. And so maybe that's something to look at with short-term rentals, because really, short-term rental is not a residential use. It's more of a business,
It's a business use.
but it involves people sleeping there overnight, right? So it's kind of like a residential. So anyway, let's go to the next.
You talked about- Did you hear Ryan?
Oh,
send me,
sorry.
Add bed and breakfast to agriculture too. Like,
Oh.
there's a lot of farms out
Yeah,
there
that's
that want
actually a
to do
pretty
that.
good idea. I'll make that as permitted. Is that good? Okay.
So I don't understand this particular section at all.
What is that?
The utilities, I don't understand this
Oh,
one
wait,
either,
go back.
unless they're private utilities.
Yeah, but even then, what different, if they're private utilities, they're gonna get an easement.
Yeah, I don't even know why this
This,
exists.
this section just needs to go away.
I'm gonna, get an expert opinion on that, but I would agree. I'm gonna ask Robert.
You're gonna ask Robert?
There's obviously some logic to why this exists here, because there's been some issues, but
But
For
what
them-
is the logic there?
I don't know.
It
Because
doesn't
most
make-
of this is government, quasi-government, or a necessary public facility that
Well,
a nonprofit.
and if you're a private utility, you have to get a right of way. You have to get an easement, or you can't put your utility in that property.
We actually have this coming to us right now for I think it's it's Questar. They want to put a pump station or something like that in an area. I think it's over by Orchard Hills Bible Church. And so it's a conditional use for
and-
them.
And
It's kind of strange, but you know, they're going to need to have their facilities where they need them, you know, to be able to deliver their product. But anyway, I'll get some feedback on that one.
find out on that one, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Okay. Wholesale trade.
I would say we need to add number 1 to S1.
Well, it's wholesale though. So it's like, it would be like
Oh, it's wholesale.
auctions
It's
and,
not,
you know, yeah, it's not for sale per se. It's more like distribution and things like that.
yeah, then those are I2 and I1 is fine. That's a storage yard is what it is.
Right.
Okay.
Will you scroll down, Michael?
It just keeps going, so.
It just keeps going on and on forever. Good grief. Well,
But it's at the very end though, so.
Looks all encompassing, so.
It's like
yeah,
probably some of these could be combined.
I
like
would say a
the
lot of
food
them could be
ones are gonna
combined.
Similar, a lot of, yeah.
I'd say a lot of them could be combined.
Make it more like 5 or 6 rather than 20 or 30. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 30.
For now,
Pretty much just say all wholesale in I1 and I2, except the ones that are allowed in A5 as well.
Yep.
yeah,
I call out those couple of individuals. But
So it looks like, that being said, honestly,
food, maybe.
wholesale trade of footwear is an accessory use in the central commercial zone. That's really strange. But anyway,
What was the one that was in the central commercial
Footwear
zone?
that he
Footwear.
has, it's accessory use in CC1.
Oh.
We could get
it's so that people can pander, bunch of junk shoes from foreign countries. But anyway,
Okay.
That's a wholesaling operation, not a retail operation.
Yeah,
so-
that's.
yeah, I think we could probably, in the very least,
I think you could
do
definitely shorten this list
4
up.
or 5 or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
All right. That's what I have for you tonight.
Okay. Thank you. We're excited. Commissioner Adams, you have anything to report?
My papers back next time.
Commissioner Gettebor? Commissioner Becker?
Nope.
Commissioner Brinkerhoff?
No.
Commissioner Hamuli?
no, just encourage everybody to see what we can do to support the salmon supper when it comes. Just,
Well, and we've got,
It's too late to
Got-
support it. If you didn't get
Well,
tickets, you're not getting them.
I don't, I mean, as far as volunteering or stuff, I know they'll definitely still.
I think she's got pretty much everything set up, but definitely,
Yeah, I'd say check in with her because I know what ends up being on the list of people that are all supposed to get there. But then when you get to second shift and I'm already done, I watched not all of the things get filled. And that's when all of the people that just want to come just to get food and not necessarily stay, they shorten up the line. So I just think it'd be a nice gesture to make sure that she's got the resources that she needs. Because sometimes when I read the emails that say, hey, we've got, something coming up and they don't have enough people, then I'm already dedicated to other things at the temple. But where it's something like the salmon supper, which is part of the small time feel, I just invite everybody, if they haven't already considered it, to consider it. And that's all I've got.
okay, Commissioner Frisbee? Nope. There's also if you want to see bearded men in skirts this weekend, so.
No, I'm not wearing a skirt.
I'm Polynesian. I'm not wearing a skirt either.
Big bearded men in skirts this weekend, so.
Oh, may I take a moment?
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with bearded men and skirts, but so we just wanted to bring up to the body of you that if you have questions, comments, concerns that you would like to address with us, you're welcome to meet with us anytime that you're available. If you have concerns of maybe you need a little more training, maybe you need some understanding about a particular project, things like that. If you want some updates on projects going on, we'll try to bring them to you quarterly, but if you want to be more in the know, you can feel free to come to us. And then, like I said, with training, I think everybody pretty much has enough training for the year, but if you feel like you're questioning that, then come to us. So
I'm sorry, I was supposed to let you guys know and I totally slipped my mind. I will send an email.
Okay.
So I think you need 4 hours a year as a
We haven't got
planning
quite that. I
commissioner. So
think there's like 2.5 that everybody has pretty much.
I have a few more.
Yeah.
I know I do because I've done it at work for some of those trainings, so.
Okay. So
Unfortunately.
we have the South County, I think, coming up.
I think that's supposed to.
If
usually
if some
September.
city steps up and
Right.
And volunteers.
If they don't, then we will do something here, I'm sure.
Okay.
So that was really it. Just if you feel like you need some further clarification or additional information, feel free to meet with us and we can help you out. So.
Okay. Commissioner Hamuli, do you want to make your final?
No,
Somebody else wants to make that?
Is that a motion to dismiss?
No, to adjourn. Great.
Adjourn. All right, I'll
Yep.
motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Gettebor. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
So Marty, you'll change that in the minutes, Commissioner Becker, the motion adjourned. Thanks.